shriek of an ambulance siren, warning of a life and death emergency, is a shock to anyone. The ambulance service in Falls Village is manned by an expert crew of volunteer emergency medical technicians. Let's meet two of them.
All right.
Michelle Hansen and Andrea Downs, thank you for joining us this morning.
Of course.
About the EMT service, and we're going to talk a little bit about it and then go out to the ambulance and show me around and see what's what. So how did you both get interested in service of this sort?
Go ahead. So I actually grew up in the firehouse. My dad was chief when I was born. I started off as a ladies auxiliary member. I think I'm like 25 years now in that. And then I became an EMT 13 years ago. Probably was convinced one night to take the EMT class when we were at the firehouse. I'm not really sure how that all happened, but it happened. So.
And I was home with my kids almost 30 years ago, and the ambulance was very short-staffed, and so Tim, who was an officer in the fire department, came home and said, you know, you're home all day, Grandma Edie can come babysit the kids, you could drive the ambulance, and then we could get the ambulance out. So I started as a driver, very quickly signed up for what was then called an MRT, Medical Response Technician. Then as soon as I finished that, I decided I really liked it. I became an EMT, so I volunteered here as an EMT, and then eventually started working for a commercial service, and then went back and got my paramedic license.
Michelle was telling me that you have about 150 calls a year.
Yes.
Yes.
Although this year we're on target to exceed that.
Because of the pandemic, maybe?
I don't know. I actually think nobody got medical care for a long time, like during the pandemic, and now people are sick because they didn't take care of themselves. It was difficult. It was not their fault, but it was difficult to see a doctor, to get in, get an appointment. People were afraid to go to the hospital, and so where people would have been more on top of it, the pandemic really caused people to kind of stay home and try to manage these things themselves.
I also feel like our car accident rate is up. I don't know if more people are moving because, like moving car-wise.
Physically moving.
Physically moving, yeah.
Right.
Because they were in their houses for so long, so they're going more or something, but our car accident rate seems to be up also.
Is that what most of your calls are about?
I wouldn't say that, but.
No, but it's a higher percentage than it had been in the past.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I will say,
Yeah.
you know, being part of this group of people, it is where I found that I made my best friends in the community. It really is like a family. So, of course, you also have the typical family dynamic sometimes too. But it's okay because, you know, for the most part, it's just really it's a great place to be.
Does that make sense? No, yeah. Yeah. Well, living the estate isn't huge.
I've driven by your house during the summer and you have cookouts.
Yeah.
We do have cookouts. Yeah, we,
Our neighborhood is pretty lively.
yeah, and we like to entertain.
Yeah.
So, and you would find it's mostly fire department members who are hanging around that fire or that barbecue.
Come on, James, come.
I didn't know.
It is a shame.
You would know.
I can't even remember. She said that.
Oh my God. That sticks so good. Are you serious? Oh, she's in right there. She wants like, and all I hear is I hear it outside of her.
When somebody calls 911, the Litchfield dispatcher signals you by your paging device or telephone, and then you come in and get your equipment and get ready to go out.
You can get all the dispatch information through an app, and we use Spotted Dog here in Falls Village. It gives us a lot more information. It's pretty powerful. It also gives us mapping devices. It gives us special instructions. It, even if we're going on the trail, we have the trail maps on there as well as the street maps. It can tell us any hazards in the area.
You said something about going on calls on trails, like the Mohawk Trail and Appalachian Trail. What are some of those experiences like?
Well, there's been a couple instances where we've hiked most of the night when a hiker has gotten injured on the trail or lost and trying to find them and how far out they are. We usually work with mutual aid departments because we need a lot of help.
And unfortunately, it seems like it gets a little busier each year. You know, and people get out there with their cell phones, but they don't make sure they're fully charged before they go out, or use low data mode, and so they get on the trail, and then their phone has one or two, is almost dead. They're like, I'm at 10% battery, so they're shutting their phones off, then turning it back on, and we're trying to ping their phones, which LCD can do for us, so we can get an exact location. It's very difficult. A lot of people, these trails that we have here are, they're not walking trails.
They're not easy, no.
Right, so these trails require some skill. You need to be in shape. You need some stamina. People are really unprepared. They don't bring food, water. They're not wearing the right shoes, and they're unfamiliar with the area. So usually when we're rescuing someone, they're not from this northwest corner. They're usually from the city or Boston or, and so totally unprepared to be on these trails.
They don't realize what they're getting themselves into when they get out there.
Right. Same with water rescues.
Yep.
We do a fair number of water rescues as well, whether it's the falls or the Housatonic River. Again, people completely unprepared for the movement, how fast this water moves in this area. We have some rapids that can become very dangerous. We also, if you go to the falls, we have what they call our eddies, which is the swirling of the water, and it pulls you down, and it can be very deep in areas, but there's also a lot of rocks and cliff-type rocks and trees, and people get entangled. And once you go under, you don't know which way is up and which way is down, and so it becomes extremely dangerous for people, and it's slippery at the edge of those falls. So again, you're wearing flip-flops, you're wearing sandals, Crocs. People are not prepared for the, how dangerous that water is. It looks beautiful. I hike there regularly, but it needs to be respected.
Yeah.
There's a lot of advertisement for cliff diving and stuff there too, which is so unsafe. I can't even get to explain.
Yeah, several people have lost their lives
They have.
recently.
They have.
You go to Bradley International Airport, you come in, what's the big poster on the wall? Falls Village Falls.
Oh, is that right?
It is.
It is.
Yeah. They're
Yes.
advertising it. Yep. Which it is beautiful to go see. I don't begrudge that.
Just look at it, though.
Don't look at the water.
Just look at it,
Shall we go out to
Go
the
look at
ambulance?
Sure.
Turn the lights on, Michelle.
Yeah. if I can turn some more lights on for you.
Right. So this is the patient compartment of our ambulance. And
That's
this is
good.
the stretcher that we would use. We are actually really pleased, and we can show you how this works, but we've upgraded to a power load system so that it's protecting our backs. It works really, really well. We actually have on order and should be receiving an updated version of this ambulance, which can
This stretcher.
or this stretcher, I
Yep.
mean. It can the capacity is more, and it has wings, so that fold out, so you know,
It's a little more comfortable.
a little more
for the
comfortable
patient.
for the patient. The reality is our population is growing physically, and so we do need larger equipment. What we would use for somebody who weighs 120 pounds is totally different than what we use for someone who weighs 350 pounds. So we have to have equipment for all of that.
Yeah.
So we do have, be careful there.
Whoops.
Careful, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There we go.
That could be your next case.
No, we're not going to let that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, we can go out that way. It's
Right.
probably easier.
So we have an AED that we carry with us.
An AD.
AED.
AED. Yeah.
AED.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually I can.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
that,
that's for heart.
that's yep.
Yep. If someone goes into cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Remove clothes from patient's chest. Place pad exactly as shown. Press firmly to bare skin. Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Press the flashing orange button now. Shock delivered. For help with CPR, press the flashing blue button.
We have all types of bandaging supplies and splinting supplies up here. If somebody were to break an arm or an ankle or were to cut themselves, that's where we would have all of our stuff, along with our masks for COVID purposes up there.
Who drives the ambulance?
I actually don't drive the ambulance. I mean, I have a couple times, but I don't like to. So Andrea, Tim, Andrea's father, Thomas. Yeah, we have a lot of people who will either be back here or will also drive.
Right.
So
Yes.
yes.
We also have quite a bit of pediatric equipment. So should we have a pediatric patient, we can, we have the right size equipment for those patients as well.
Yeah. What is all this over here?
So we have this is the radio Andrea was talking about, like to call the hospital and let them know we're coming. We use this or triage on our phones. This is a glucometer, which will test blood sugar to make sure people's blood sugar isn't low or high. Show you, that's the actual glucometer. We have blood pressure cuffs and stethoscopes. And pulse
Suction, if we need suction.
Yeah. And there's pulse oximeters to make sure people's oxygen levels are good. We now carry thermometers. And we also have, this is where we do our charting. So our call doesn't end when we drop the patient off. We also have to do a chart and write up what we saw and what we found. So it goes into the medical record.
Mm-hmm. Over here, you would see everything. We have equipment for if someone were to have a neck or back injury, head injury. We have the equipment here. The state regulates us pretty closely about what equipment we need to have on the ambulance, equipment we can have, what equipment we can't have. If we have to stick very closely with our medical training specific to the level of service of this ambulance. So even though I'm a paramedic, I don't perform paramedic level services when I'm riding with Falls Village. I operate as an EMT when I'm with Falls Village.
What's the difference between a paramedic and an EMT?
So a paramedic, pretty much, we always say that we bring the ER to the patient. So we carry about 50 emergency medications. We have the ability to intubate. We have the ability to do some, not just shock the patient who's in cardiac arrest, but if you have a low heart rate, like we can pace you to bring your heart rate up to something that's sustainable. We have respiratory drugs. We have a little higher level assessment skills. It's about we do IVs, give fluid. We do about 2,000, paramedics do about 2,000 hours worth of training versus the 200 hours that the EMT does for training.
Good. I guess that about covers it.
Great, that's good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Happy to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to walk out this
Yeah, let's
way,
go this
Eric?
way.
It might be a little bit easier than coming out the back here.
Yeah. All right, you can grab the door or you can, there's also a railing here. But this door won't move, I have it.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I'm just getting old.
I know.
I can't help it.
I know.
I don't know. I feel like I'm having trouble getting in and out
Yeah,
better
me
than I
too.
used to, right?
Good. This is a beautiful vehicle.
A lot of work to try to maintain cost, but also staying up to date to make sure that all of our equipment is up to date and can handle any kinds of fires or emergencies that we might have here in Falls Village. So, it's been a little bit of a challenge because we don't ask for a very large budget from the town each year. So we try to be really, really efficient with the way that we use our funds. Our guys are here every single Thursday night doing truck and equipment maintenance. They check the air packs, they check the hoses, we have ladder testing every year. They practice their skills, they go out and draft water, they also make sure all the portable ponds that those hydrants are working so that they can access water.
Between our chief and assistant chief, they could probably repair anything and make it work for as
Right.
long as we need it to. Sometimes that's not necessarily what we want,
Right.
but it is a really good asset
Yeah.
that they will make it work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, now, it's not going anywhere.
No. And we flashed the light down there, and it looked, I could see a jagged looking piece down there or something.
It does look like it's gotten
No, it's-
manipulated.
Hey, you got it?
Yep.
It ain't gonna work.
You gotta use the overhand lever. Set it down.
That ain't gonna work.
Look at it from the side. I gotta put some holes behind it. That's good.
Want your little, oh, you got it. You got your little.
This is the forestry hose. It goes back in there with it. We'll put it down there where the fuel can go.
Yeah, well, like I said, you gonna put your
This one,
That'll fit right there, yeah.
one stuffed in there. Need a shoehorn. You ready?
Gas there too. I could take a freaking fan down there.
You could.
Yeah, I can bring it down.